All right. Audio working? Can you hear me? Looks like it. Cool. All right. Episode 10. 10 episodes of Gear Talk. This has been a one episode experiment that's been stretched on longer than I imagined I could come up with things to talk about. Completely honest, I don't know that I'm going to do any more of these. I'm kind of running out of topics. Tonight's topic is something that I think I addressed a little bit earlier, but it's something that over the last weekend I experienced. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about it. Sometimes maybe people don't think about it. Um, if you have things to talk about, I love doing these things, but I don't want to just sit here and talk about nothing. So let me know in the comments if there's anything that I haven't addressed that would make a good topic. Usually, I like to talk for like 20 minutes on a specific topic. So if you can think of anything, let me know. But to be honest, 10 episodes, I think I've done pretty good. So anyway, so this week, wanted to talk a little bit about big wheels again, taking a break from aggressive and history of aggressive. I'm fairly new to big wheels. This is something that didn't really have when I was skating initially. UFS had just started, and UFS is an aggressive skate standard, so we didn't really have any non-aggressive frames. There was the Solomon FSK frame, but that was really the rarity. Everything else was 60 millimeter wheels or so. But now there are plenty of great options for big wheel skating with aggressive skates, so UFS. So this weekend I went out skating, and I was skating with 4x100. So I was skating the K2 R100 frames, and I clipped a lot. So when I was skating those frames, doing crossovers, the front wheel hit the back wheel, just me skating backwards, and I would just fall over. And that sucked. It was a real confidence hit. I was skating really good, I thought, for the day. I was skating really fast, and then just out of the blue, my wheels clipped. And I just fell down, and there's nothing that I could have really done about it. I probably could have done my crossovers a little different, but I'm really struggling trying to make 4x100 work. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight is some big wheel options. I think 4x100 is probably the biggest that they make. They make 4x110. I guess 4x110 Wizards are a thing. But 4x100 is so big. I feel like if you're skating that big, there might be other options out there. Now, some people like the 4x100. I don't think it's for me. So let me show you a few frames and talk about some options, and let you know what I plan on skating next. Something to look forward to. So first, this is the 4x100. So there are two options for 4x100. The first one that I was skating initially was the K2 R100. Do I have a 100 mil wheel? I do. Hold on. Let me get a 100 mil wheel. Oh, this is a 110. Here's a 100. All right. So this is a 100 mil wheel. You can see that this fits 4 of these. So this is a K2 R100 frame. It is UFS. It has an extra hole, I guess, to shift your, I don't really know why, to shift your frame on the boot. I think people want their frame centered, so I don't know that that really adds that much value. But if you're interested, it does have an extra hole, so you can move it around a little bit. But this is 4x100. Now, why would anybody want a 4x100? Well, 100 millimeter wheels are fast. And I'm not saying that the top speed is fast. Like if you're skating really hard, it's actually going to be a little more difficult to skate really fast with a 4x100. But the top speed is going to be much bigger. So the nice thing about these 100 millimeter wheels is as you get speed, they don't slow down. And you can always add more speed to the top speed that you've got, within reason, obviously. But I was skating the Wizard, so these are the other 4x100 frames that I have. These are the Wizard NR100s, 4x100 millimeter, and these are the Wizards. So they are slightly different than the R100s. They're a little bit shorter. They're a fixed rocker instead of a hexagon rocker, so you don't have any options with this. You skate 4x100 the way that they want you to skate it, or you don't skate them at all. So I was skating these at the skate park, and I really loved it. It was a really fun feeling skating, a bank and then a transition and then another bank, and you can really, if you jump over the banks and you just pump in, you can really start getting more speed. It's kind of like pumping in a bowl, where you start fast, dropping in, and then if you climb the wall and you drop back in and climb the wall and drop back in, you can really kind of pump your way around the bowl. I was doing that in the skate park, and it was a lot of fun. I was going really fast, I felt, and I just kept my speed. And even when I didn't want to pump, I just kind of coast, and it was fun. So I was doing that with the R100s this weekend. That is what the 100 millimeter feels like. For aggressive skates, there's really no compromise. The 4x100 is an amazing feeling, and I don't think you're going to be able to get anything close to that. But there are other big wheel frames to consider that are shorter. The big problem with these frames is you've got 100 millimeter wheels. You got 4 of them. So I've got this. This illustrates it well because it's kind of a white bottom boot. Let me put this over here. So this is the Wizard, which is the front. This is the front. So it slides in, and you can see with this frame how far these wheels go in front and in back of the boot. Now, that's not a huge problem if all you're doing is skating straight. But as soon as you start doing crossovers, and as soon as you start doing anything where your feet cross over each other, like swizzles or what are they called? Stunados, and anything like that, you risk having this wheel touch because it's extending so far out on that boot. Your foot, you really need to compensate, not only in the front but in the back, because the frame is so long. And I don't like that. I really like the feeling that I got when I was skating these Wizard frames, much more so than the feeling that I got when I was skating the R100 frames. But I can't risk clipping my wheels. For me as an old hockey skater, I like doing really fast crossovers, and I like being in control of my feet. And this feels like I'm skating with, I don't know, something sticking out the front and the back that I have to be aware of. And it is, it's the wheels. But it keeps me from being confident when I'm skating. And that's I don't like that. So I'm looking at other options, and I wanted to show you a few of them. So first, this is the Wizard. Let me find the other options. So this is another fun option. This is the Kaiser Level 3.1. This is actually a really great option. So this frame is, I don't know if it's a size or if it's the only size, but it's a 4x72 millimeter. It's actually a power blading frame. So it's designed for doing grinds and such, not just skating flatland, which, the Wizards are kind of designed for just skating fast, doing slides, doing airs and stuff. But this frame you can actually grind with. 4x72 is a great balance. And what I like about this frame is the length. So that wheelbase, I want to say it's 270 from 1 to 4. Let me get that boot out again. So you can see this boot is a size 10.5 boot. It's actually a fairly long boot because the Rollerblade New Jack has a skin on it. So the 10.5 is actually underneath the shell, and then there's a liner that goes underneath. But if you look at it, the wheelbase is pretty clean. It's right below where the toe and the heel are. If you look down, you can see the toe, you can see the wheels at the toe, but not by much. Maybe even not only. Maybe you can't even see them. But this is a really great wheelbase. And if you wanted to just skate fast, this is a really good option. What I love about this is that you can still grind a little bit. You could definitely do soul grinds, Mizus, any soul trick. You could do alley-oop tricks, of course. Topsides would be difficult because, you know, that frame is pretty tall. Royales definitely would be difficult because that angle would be pretty high. You'd have to get like that to get boot down. That's pretty low, at least for me. But I'm not looking at grinds. I'm looking at finding a good UFS frame that I can skate big wheels. And this is a really great option. Another option to consider is the Kaiser Aero. Let me find that. So these are the Kaiser Aeros. They are a 4x80. Now, a 4x80 is kind of like the standard for big wheel skates. Either 80s or 84s are what you'll see mostly. I know Powerslide sells an Imperial 1, which is a 4x80. I think all of the non-3-wheel skates that Powerslide makes, that FR makes, that Seba makes, that Flying Eagle makes, that Rollerblade makes, they all come with 80 millimeter wheels. 80 millimeter is a really great size because it's a good compromise between being able to be agile and skate quickly, get quick acceleration, but the wheels are big enough that you're going to continue to coast and retain your speed as you're skating. So this is a Kaiser Aero. It is a power blading frame. It is aluminum on top. It is heavy. It's designed for doing a little bit of grinds. You don't really want to grind with this. Again, I'm not interested in grinds with this. I just want to skate. The negative to this frame for me is that the wheel length is 243. So you take 80 millimeter and you put like a 1 millimeter, you can kind of see it in there. You could put a 1 millimeter gap between each of the wheels. So if you add it up, you've got 80 plus 80, that's 160, plus 80, that's 240, plus the little 1, 2, 3 mil gap in the middle, so you've got 243. It is as close to each other as you can get without rubbing, but that leaves a 243, which to me is not long enough. So again, let's take a look at my size 10.5 rollerblades. They're about the same length as the 72s if you look at the wheels, but the wheelbase is actually a little shorter. Is it? I might be wrong. Yeah, it's a little bit shorter. Not by much. This might be like 250 or so. The wheelbase is where the wheels touch. So the tip of this wheel and the tip of this wheel, between 1 and 4, that's what I consider the wheelbase. The longer the wheelbase, the more straight you're going to be skating. The shorter the wheelbase, the quicker you're going to be turning and such. Now, if you look at the wheels, the way that they stick out, this is pretty good, right? So, you know, it doesn't stick out that far. It's probably the same from the front of the front wheel to the back of the back wheel as the 72s. So this is a pretty good compromise. It's a little shorter though, and it's a little squirrely for me. The other option that I'm looking at, so this is probably the biggest 4x that they make. Now I think that Ground Control makes a 4x80 that has a slightly longer wheelbase. I think it's 270. 270 would be really interesting. 270 is the size of my USD Aeons. Do I have those? Yeah. So these are 270s. Actually, I can measure these and compare. These are 72s, the Aeons are 72s. You can see they're very different. So this is probably like 250 or so. I should really get a ruler out here. I don't think I have one. This is probably 270 or so. Nah, that doesn't help. Trying to find a good way to illustrate it. I think this is 270 though. So this is a size 910 shell. This fits 72 millimeter wheels. You can see that it's longer than this. They can do this because they don't have to worry about UFS. Here you can't because you've got the UFS bolts right in the middle. So this is probably as good as they can get. They might be able to push these wheels a little further out, but maybe only by a couple mil. They could definitely push these wheels out a little bit more. They could make those 270 and that would be really nice, I think. But this is like a 270 mil for 72s. This is a really great setup. I really loved these boots. It was hard to do groove tricks because this H-block is really tall. It's even taller than this if you look at it. It's about the same height as this. But I really liked these skates. I think these are really fun to skate. I actually might set these up again and just try them out because I really like that big wheel just skating around thing. Not doing trails. So I do have some trail skates that are designed for just going straight in lines. I like to just jump around and explore and do stair rides and wall rides and stuff like that. That's kind of the goal of this setup. So Ground Control does make an 80 millimeter frame that is 270 millimeters from 1 to 4. So it would be this, but it would be this wheel length. And that's really interesting. So I probably need to get myself a pair of those. Yeah, that would be really nice. And set them up on some Seba skates, the skates that I usually wear, and just see what those feel like. Now, the wheels will definitely stretch out more like the Wizards do because the 80 millimeter wheels at 270, they'll push out, what is that, another 40 millimeter on each side. So it's going to be a bigger, longer ride, and my wheels might be a little too far out, but I want to try it. It's something that I haven't tried yet. So that's my next purchase for frames, I think. I want to get those 270 mil Ground Control 80 millimeter frames. But in the meantime, I'm going to go back to 100 millimeter wheels. But instead of skating 4x100s, I'm going to skate 3x100. So these are the Kaiser Trimax. They are a 3x100. They fit a 3x110. So you could fit these wheels. These are the wheels that I used to skate with them. You could fit these wheels on. And there's nothing wrong with that. These were great wheels, and that was a great setup. But I want to try 100 millimeters. I think that the ride height is going to be lower. I think that the balance is going to be similar to what I get, and the speed is going to be similar to what I get with the Wizard frame. But I'm not going to have that long wheelbase. So if you compare this to the Wizard. Oh, where did I put my Wizard? Uh-oh, there it is. So you can see there's a drastic difference. Let me put this one on the front. So you can see how much further out those Wizard wheels stick. Is that good? No, looking at the camera. That's an extra like 30 mil or so in the front and back. I think that would be enough, you know, and the R100s are a little longer than that. I think if I could get a similar feeling skating-wise with this 3x100 compared to the 4x100, then this might be a really great setup for me. And I think 3x100 has a lot of potential. Let me put it on the boot. So you can see what that looks like. It definitely extends out, but not very much. Let's compare it to that 72. So, so here's the juggling 3x100, which looks good, and then here's 4x72. So the wheelbase is definitely longer. Sorry, whoa! The wheel length is definitely longer from 1 to 3. There. I need a frame bolt. Dropping all the frames. All right. Let's do it this way. So, the wheelbase is longer on the 3x100. And you can see that the wheels stick out more on the 3x100. By about as much difference as the 4x100 sticks out. So I think that this is a pretty good balance. I remember skating the 3x110s on the Kaiser Trimax and really liking them. I think that the 3x100s on the Kaiser Trimax, these are all rockered down. The Trimax you can rocker up or down. I have them all rockered down, so I have a bit lower ride height. I think this is going to be a really great setup. So this is going to be my next big wheel setup. I'm going to set these up on my Seba and give them a shot and see what they feel like. I hope to skate this weekend, and give a little explore. I'm going to go back to the same office park and do the same tricks and try to compare to my experience that I had with the R100. Because after that session, after clipping my wheels so much on the 4x100, I got so discouraged that I didn't want to skate them anymore. I feel as though this will be a pretty good setup for me. So I'm going to give them a shot. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll put a link to that video in the description if you want to see what they're like. Slippery frames. All right. Thank you all for showing up. It is going through some of the stuff. Yes, VG5 Supernatural 2Qs up in the house. My friend Steve Johns, actually, who's on as well at True Spin Media, sent me this shirt. You can get your own one. I think they have them at Intuition Skate Shop. Supernatural was the one of the VGs that I wasn't really a big fan of, to be completely honest, but I love this logo. So that's what this shirt's all about. Check out Intuition Skate Shop. I think they have some in stock. They also have Video Groove shirts, which I also love. So thanks again, Steve. This was awesome. All right. Corey. So I got a couple more things I want to talk about, but I'm going to try to, after each topic, I'm going to try to go to questions and go into the comments. So if you have questions and comments, now's the time, and then I'm going to start rambling again about other things. But Corey asks about big wheel frames. How would you go about do it? I don't know if you're asking if I would design a big wheel frame, if you personally would go about designing a big wheel frame. There are definitely ways to design frames. I mean, you've seen, I'm sure, Joe Atkinson skating some frames that were machined out of a solid piece of aluminum. A frame design is fairly easy. I mean, you can look at what's already on the market and figure out where the millimeters should be. And then getting it made, all you have to do is pay somebody to create some CAD drawings or create a 3D model, and then they send it off either for a CNC machine, or you can get it 3D printed for testing, or you can, I don't know, there's plenty of ways that you could fabricate a frame. The trick to making a frame is making a good frame that rides well. And that's where my testing has gone. I've tried a bunch of different frames, and I haven't found that perfect setup for me for skating big wheels. And that's, again, my quest now. I really wanted to love the Wizards, and I do. But I feel like 4x100 is a bit excessive for me. I don't know that I'm taking full advantage of the 4x100, and I think that I can get away with 3x100 and make the wheelbase a little shorter so that I don't clip wheels, but still have the same speed and the same agility and the same everything. Lighter frame, one less wheel on each foot, less material, shorter wheelbase. I feel like there's something there. So I'm going to try those Trimax and see how they feel. Skate them for a little bit. I haven't skated them 3x100. So, but yeah, I have some ideas around, if I were to make a frame, I think 3x100 would be awesome. I think there's not enough 4x90s. I think, if you were doing the math like I was doing, where you took that Kaiser Aero, you remember how I got to 243. So I've got 80 plus 80 being 160, plus 80 being 240, plus 1, 2, 3 millimeters in between, that's 243. If you had 90, so you go 90, 90, that's 180, plus 90, 270, plus 1, 2, 3, 273. 273 is the same wheelbase as my USD Aeon 72 millimeter Aeon. This is 270, that's 273. It's really close. But could you imagine a 90 millimeter USD Aeon? Whew. It wouldn't have a grind area, but I wouldn't want a grind area. It would just be 1, 2, 3, 4 huge wheels, solid boot. That would be an amazing setup. I don't think that's in the cards. I think that the Aeon is always going to be more grinding with a little bit of aggressive, a little bit of power blading. I think the Aeon 80s are power blading. But if I were to build a UFS big wheel frame, I would want to look into 3x100, and I would want to look into 4x90, because I think those two are really interesting sizes for me personally, for my wheelbase, and there isn't anything out there that is perfect for it. So that's what I would address. I hope that answers your question. Yes, Edward. Rollerblade and Seba make a 4x84. They also make a 4x90, but it's really hard to find. I know Cultic makes a 4x90 as well. I haven't seen them yet, though, so I might pick them up just for testing. I don't know what the wheelbase is like, but I really want to just experiment. I love this big wheel stuff. I feel like it's just, especially for somebody who's older, who doesn't do the grinder blading as recklessly as I used to. I get sore. Like, I had to stop my last session because my back got hurt again. I just love skating. And, if I'm at a skate park, that's great. If I'm just skating around the neighborhood or an office park, that's great. I want to find the perfect setup for me. And I haven't found it yet, so I'm going to keep trying. I think 4x84 is a good one. 4x90 is a good one. Any frame out there that I can try that's big wheels, I really want to just skate them and just see what it's like for me. Scott, 5 wheels. I know. So that's how speed skates used to be. They used to be, what, 5x80 or 5x72. I do skate these. So these are my Power Slide Swell road skates. These are 125. So this is 1, 2, 3 wheels, 125. They are 12 and a half inches long, which is like 311 millimeters or something like that. I cannot do crossovers on these things. Like, if I could, I would clip. But I don't skate these things anything more than just skating in a straight line, I don't skate these backwards. Like, that they've never seen backwards. I don't do slides on them. I don't do anything on them. They are very specific, purpose-built skates. And when I'm skating them, you can kind of see. So if you look at the toe of this boot and the frame's on the inside. And the reason the frame's on the inside is because when you're skating with, these big wheels on trails, you skate and you push and you get on this inside edge like this, and you push again, and then you skate and you push. It's called an under push. So you're actually pushing twice on every stride. And that's something that I'm still learning. But this inside edge thing really helps with that. It helps with the power transfer. This is not a fun skate to skate. This is a fun skate to go fast with. I want to find a fun skate to skate. These boots, these Seba boots that I have, these are amazing. They're so comfortable. They're light-ish. They are carbon, meaning they're stiff, but they're flexy up top, meaning that I can do everything that I want to. These are incredible skates. And because they don't have a sole plate or anything, I can get super low profile. So I can get the wheels all the way down to the carbon. But I haven't found the perfect frame for them yet. I'm going to try these. That's what I'm going to skate these on. That's going to be really awesome. I'm really excited to skate these. I think they're going to be a great setup. But maybe they're not perfect. I mean, already you could see, like, they're not as low as they could be. Like, I'd like to get them all the way down. So if it was a purpose-built 3x100, I think this could be a really good setup. So stay tuned. We'll see. I don't know. I have some ideas, though. Christopher, Symmetrix frames. Never skated them. Never seen them in real life. I do know my friend Rob and actually my friend Steve skate them. If not now, they have, and they switch between skating them and not skating them, and they love them. They are a very similar setup to these old frames. So these are the old 50-50 frames. They fit bigger wheels. The groove, though, is very shallow and tight, which is great for skating flat with big wheels. I really want to try some symmetric frames. I hear the material is really good, too. It slides really great, kind of like UHMW, which is what the grind plates used to be made of, and what the Gods sole plates are made of. I haven't skated them yet though, so I'm going to see if I can find a pair eventually. I've got so many frames that I need to get through, but the Symmetrics do look great. I've heard only good things, so I think they're definitely worth looking into if you have the the opportunity. All right, put the frame back. Okay. A larger version of the Wish. Man, the Wish are pretty large. I don't know if you've seen the Wish, but they're pretty long. Because they're rockerable, you can kind of make. I mean, every frame's rockerable, right? I mean, I could skate those 80 millimeter frames with 80s on the inside and 78s on the outside and rocker them, or 76s on the inside. I mean, any frame is rockerable. The Wish are rockerable out of the box, because you already have to figure out what size wheels you want to use. But those are pretty long frames. I don't know that I would want to skate them. Again, I think the 60s on the inside is a little small for doing what I want to do. I do love the Wish frames, though. I think that they're a great skate park frame, a great grinding frame, but they're not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that has more coast, that I don't have to skate as much. And I think 72 millimeter or 60 millimeter, whichever one wins, is not going to be fast enough for me. Am I doing the double push? Wish. I kind of am, Steve. Kind of. I don't remember my last. It's been a while because it's been raining, and then we had that silly hurricane come through. I haven't gone trail skating in a long time, but I remember the last trail skating I did pretty good double push, I think. They were a lot easier on the shorter frames. These long frames are a little more difficult because I can't turn as quickly. I'm still learning. I mean, it's like when you skate recreational, right? And all you're doing is jumping stairs and, you're cool and everything. And then you see somebody jump on a handrail and you're like, the world changes. For me, the first time I went up on the trails, I was just skating. I was like, I know how to skate. I'm a hockey player. Of course I can skate. And then I started watching some videos, the power slide videos of Bart Swings, or there's a few others that I can't remember that I subscribe to on YouTube. And I was just blown away. There's so many techniques. I couldn't figure out how I was going so slowly on the trails compared to other people on Endomondo. And they're just killing it. And it's because their technique is so much better. So double pushes are important. Getting down low is important. Long strides, pushing off of your heels are important. All these things that I never even considered as a hockey player or an aggressive skater. Slowly but surely, I'm going to get there. I'm envious of what Tom Heiser does. Tom was an aggressive skater, still is, but he took to doing trail skating. And he was in this marathon last weekend, I think, with my friend Mark. Who else was there? Eric was there. Eric Cruz was there. And the three of them skated. And Tom did almost like a sub-hour marathon. It's ridiculous. I mean, it would take me an hour and a half. So much respect for him. And, that's I hate to say it, but, you get older and you don't lose the passion for skating, but you do lose that, desire to fall on your ass over and over again. I love skating fast, so I'm going to definitely pursue trail skating as long as I can in North Carolina. It gets hot in the summer and it gets really cold in the winter, but whenever I can, I'll be out there. And then, after my big wheel quest, I'm going to see if I can just go out there and learn all the slides, do all the stair rides, things that are kind of low impact that won't get me too hurt. But I love skating, so anything that I can do with wheels on my feet is okay with me. All right. Yes, I know about the flat frame Morgan. I have not skated them. I've never seen them in real life. I don't know if they made that many of them. They look super interesting, though. Maybe a little too big wheel for me. I think the Wish frame is the right idea. If you're trying to do grinds, you don't want something that tall. I had a really hard time doing topside tricks with the Wish frame. And I don't see myself being able to ever do a topside trick with a flat frame. So maybe that's not the market, but it's got that big old H block, so maybe it is. And Antony Poitier has no problem doing topsides with that. So definitely it's me, but I'm a fairly average skater. So if I can't do topsides, and I can kind of do topsides, I think, pros can make anything look good. So I would love to try them though. I think anything big wheel is important. I think that's the direction that the sport should be going. I think there will always be grinder bladers. I think there will always be companies like 50/50 who's going to make a low profile frame, 58 millimeter max, good for topside tricks, good for royales, good for freestyle-y, juice blocky grinds. But I'm really intrigued by the bigger wheel things because I think that they're so much fun. And I think as skating gets older and the skaters get older, we're going to look for more or less high impact ways to skate. And I think big wheel skating is definitely something to explore. So there's that. Speaking of things, this weekend I skated my K2 Front Street for the first time. And I wanted to do a really quick walkthrough of the differences between the K2 Front Street and the K2 Fatty Pro. So a lot of people, when they were skating back in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, they skated with the K2 Fatties. And here's what those skates look like. So these are actually really old K2 Fatties. These were Andy Cruz's K2 Fatty samples from the original K2 Fatty Pros. You can see they have the star on the inside. These are the original samples. They came, so in the stores, the original Fatty Pros came with 50/50 grind plates. These are the Tom Heiser grind plates. These ones don't even have the countersink for the axles. They're so old. I don't think 50/50 ever really made these. They were just samples to see what they would look like on the skates. And then the design came with the countersink and the pre-groove and stuff like that. So these are really, really special to me because they illustrate a time in skating that, it was kind of no man's land. You could go and do anything you wanted. And skate technology was so new that people were progressing every single week. There was a new skate idea coming out, a new trick coming out. Every month you'd open Daily Bread and you'd see somebody doing something amazing and you've never seen that grind before or you've never seen that trick before. So these are the K2 Fatty Pro. And a lot of people skated these, or they skated the Style Points Bob, or they skated the Bing Airs, or they skated the 250cc's, which are these ones. So these are the K2 250cc's. They are an updated version of the K2 Fatty Pro. Obviously, you can see the similarities. Yellow, it's got the bigger grind area. So this is now plastic. The toe is plastic here, but it's a bigger grind area on this one. I don't know when these came out. Does it have a date? No. But these were probably in the early 2000s. The interesting thing about these skates is that they haven't really changed much over the years. And a lot of people get back into skating and, they ask me on the YouTube channel, what skates should I get? I used to skate K2 Fatties and I loved them and I want to get another pair. What do you recommend? Well, let me show you what the K2 Fatties look like now. So these are the K2 Front Street. They are the grandson, I guess, of the K2 Fatty. There are a lot of similarities. I'll bring up the 250cc. I think that's a better illustration. So this is a 250cc. You can see definitely the same design cues as in the Fatty. It looks like the same cuff design, right? This whole bottom section where the boot attaches And you can see the, here the cuff bolts were this weird like pin thing. Here it's just a hex key. Not a huge difference. The sole is very similar. But here it has that Teflon stuff injected in it. But it's fairly similar. Like if you look at the shape, there's some huge differences though. These are definitely not the same as these. So a few big differences. First off, this frame, this is the frame that comes on the 10.5. It is extremely long. You can see how long this is. We were talking about frames earlier in this show. This is like 290 millimeters from 1 to 4. If you compare that to, so this is a large 50-50 balance frame. I mean, this is the frame that I recommend for people up to size 13. And you can see how much longer this frame is. I mean, it's ridiculous. Look at that. So this frame is extremely long. There is a shorter frame right here. So this is the shorter K2 frame. This is the one that I'm going to switch over to. I'm going to swap these out and try to skate them this weekend and see what I think. But these frames, you're going to have to do something about these frames. They're very different. I don't recommend these frames. I think they're too long unless your foot is really long. If you're like a size 12 and up, then it might make sense. For me, my foot is much smaller and it doesn't work. By far, the biggest change between the old K2s and the new K2s, or at least this front street, is this cuff. So the cuff itself isn't a big difference. But if you look at the inside, so first of all, oh, it's super stiff. Trying to move it at all is difficult. But if you look at the inside, this is all really hard leather. It's almost like a combat boot, like a really thick combat boot. Why that's a problem is that it makes it really difficult for me to bend my legs. So when I'm trying to skate, when I want to lean forward, like if I'm getting ready to jump, or if I'm doing a sole grind and I want to, squat down a little bit. With these skates, with these 250s, this material squishes really easily. It's this, it's just a cloth material. The cuff moves really easily. I mean, this is fairly broken in. It's still in great shape though. I don't think I would have I don't fit them, they're not my size. But I don't think I would have a problem skating these, putting my foot in there and being able to do sole grinds. With these skates, definitely they require a lot of break-in. I have heard that they take probably a few weeks of break-in before they start feeling comfortable. When they break in, they do feel pretty comfortable, but I have a hard time recommending, especially for somebody who's just getting back into the sport, recommending a skate like this that's going to take 2 weeks or more to break in. I just don't think that, you need some, instant gratification that you're back, you're skating, you're doing sole grinds, you're doing 180s, this is fun, versus, oh, my foot is in a boot that I can't bend. So that is a big problem. Otherwise, though, I gotta say, these skates are pretty good. If that break-in problem wasn't a thing, I would probably, and I've only skated them once, I would probably recommend them for people who are used to the K2 Fatty. I'm hoping that the future K2 skates don't have this same design, that they have a more flexible inner boot. The sole was a little sketchy for me coming from a Them 908. It doesn't feel the same. The front is a little thinner than I'm used to. And when I was skating, it feels like the skate is shifted a little bit to the back. Like you can see how my toe kind of sticks out a lot in the front. That wasn't a good feeling. I like to be a little more centered, and I felt like the sole plate was behind me. So it was easier to do like Mizus or alley-oop tricks, but doing just regular sole grinds felt really weird. It is UFS finally, so these are not UFS, these old K2 skates. I think K2 was one of the last skate companies to go UFS. And then when they did, they went all in. All of K2 skates are UFS now, even the recreational stuff. But you were stuck with this frame, and that's not a problem. It's not like you wear down that frame, but that is a limitation. So those are the big differences between the old K2 fatties that you might be used to and the new K2 Front Street. Overall, I don't recommend them. I don't think that this is a good compromise, a good comparison to the old fatties. I think that it looks similar and it has the same brand name, but it's not the fatty. It doesn't even say fatty on it anymore. These aren't going to be comfortable like your old fatties. They will not grind like your old fatties. They won't feel like your old fatties. And unfortunately, if you get these skates and you're used to the old fatties, you probably won't have a good time. You'll probably say, oh, this isn't a good feeling. They require a lot of work to break in. As they break in, I feel like they're going to feel better. And I'm looking forward to breaking them in and skating them more and more and more. But I've been back for 2 years and I have patience. If you're just getting back now and you want to replicate what you were doing back in the days, these aren't the skates for you. And what are the skates for you? Well, if you wanted something that's kind of similar to a K2 Fatty, like a soft boot type thing, the first skate that comes to mind, and I haven't skated them, but is the USD Carbon Free. That is a more expensive skate. It's a handmade skate. It's made by USD, which is a great aggressive skate company owned by Powerslide. The Carbon Free has a soft boot top. It has a flat sole. So it's a very similar style to the K2 that you might have been used to. Slide your foot in, you tie it up. There's no liner to take out or anything like that. It's all one part of the boot. They're a little more expensive. I think they run around $300 boot only. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on it. But do your research and see. The Carbon is the Carbon Free is the one that's plastic. The Carbon, there are two models. The Carbon is the one with carbon fiber sole area. That's more expensive. It's going to be stiffer. I wouldn't recommend that for getting back into it. Another one you might be interested in is the Seba CJ2. So the Seba is a company that you might not be familiar with. They're really big in Europe and outside of the US. If you're watching this in the US, you probably won't be able to find them. I don't think many retailers carry Seba. I think Intuition Skate Shop does. Maybe a few others. You can Google them and find out. But the SX2 and the CJ2 are a similar boot. They're a soft boot kind of on top that will tie down, feel really good. The bottom is either plastic. The Non-2, the CJ, so straight up, is carbon fiber. The CJ2 is plastic. Again, it's a fairly expensive boot. You're looking at $300 or so for the boot, but it is a great shell. I love them. I skate the CJ Carbon for big wheel and urban skating. I don't skate it much for aggressive because I found that they were a little more difficult to do some tricks on. That's why I would probably recommend the Carbon Free over anything. That's really it. If you wanted to get something that's a little squishy, you could try one of the Them 908 boots. Those are pretty great. I really like the Them 908s. It's priced to move. You could get a boot only for less than $200 and find whatever frames and wheels you want. Create your own skate for less than $300, which is great. It's a new skate, so the quality is going to be great. The materials are new. It's not like you're going to have to deal with some old materials or anything like that and cracking like if you were going to buy used skates. That's probably it. So I would definitely, if you were back on the market and you used to skate fatties, I would skip the Front Streets. I would go with the USD Carbon Frees, maybe the Seba CJ2s, and maybe the Them 908s. All right. Does anybody disagree with that actually skated these skates? Again, I'm trying to learn. I'm not super familiar with K2, but they were so popular back in the days. Everybody had them. So when people come back and they say, oh, I used to skate fatties, it's like, what do I tell them, I really think the Carbon Free is the squishy feeling that they're going to be used to. I think that people like the idea of not having a plastic shell and just sliding your foot in. I can't think of a better skate. So if you can, let me know in the comments. I think that's probably the best recommendation. All right, let me look through some of the questions, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Steve, the Fitty Fitty White Frames. Oh, what a drama. Man, I mean, if I if I knew that it was going to be like this when I started it up again, I don't know what I would do. So they are shipped. They are on their way now. They will be arriving in my warehouse October 22nd. Now, why is it so late, you ask? Well, they've been sitting around the warehouse for about a month, waiting for the shipper to pick them up. It's really hard to find a shipper out in the North Carolina to import stuff from China. When I was living in Southern California, it was really easy. You know, the port was right there in Los Angeles or in Long Beach. You could even drive up to the port, grab your belongings, grab your shipments, throw them in a truck, and bring them back to the warehouse. And we did that many times for frames when Fitty Fitty was in Costa Mesa. That's not the case when you're living in North Carolina. So I definitely have a lower cost of living, but everything takes longer. And trying to find somebody who will deliver, you know, door to door in North Carolina has been difficult. So apologies for everybody who's pre-ordered. I've done everything that I could to speed up the production, but the shipment, there's not much that I can do. So I do have some plans for getting things moving a little faster for the next run. We're going to be doing the yellow frames starting in spring, and I'm going to air ship the yellow pre-orders. So I'm going to split the shipment up into two so that I get the ones that are pre-ordered here as quickly as possible. They'll probably be here, you know, a week after production is done versus 3 weeks after production is done. And in this case, you know, a month and 3 weeks after production is done. And then I'll have the additional inventory shipped by ocean. Ocean shipment's a lot cheaper. It's like a third of the cost. And when you're dealing with, you know, 300 pair of frames, that cost really adds up. So I needed to save the money. I needed to bring some in on ocean. I was told that it would be here within the month of September, but clearly that's not happening. So again, apologize. I'm trying to do what I can, and we'll keep updating. If you pre-order, check your email. You should have one in there from me. Otherwise, I should be updating the Instagram now that I have some tracking information, and the Facebook, so that everybody knows when to expect frames to come in. That shipment also has the bearings in it, and it has white juice blocks. So a lot of good stuff for everybody. So fingers crossed that we don't have any more delays. Brandon, first of all, thanks for watching. I love your stuff, so really appreciate you checking it out. Wish frame. I have my wish over here. Let me get them. All right, so here's the wish frame. I actually took them off because I was skating flat. So that, I'll mention it later. So yes, wish frames are great. Did I put it back? Oh, I did. Wish frames are great. The wheelbase is long. Not too bad, but it's long. I would consider like a normal flat frame. I don't know. I mean, I'm partial to the Fitty Fitty, of course, but normally like a flat frame is going to be 270 or so. I might be completely wrong. That's what Fitty Fitty would do, but so it's not that much shorter. Not a huge difference. And the neat thing about the wish frame is that you can get these 60s so that they're rockered up a little bit, so that you've got the wheels on the inside touching more than the wheels on the outside, which lets you corner a little quicker. I really love the wish frames. I think that they're a lot of fun. They are almost like skating. I don't have a pair of Fitty Fitty frames with juice blocks in front of me, but they're almost like skating a pair of Fitty Fitty frames, like a freestyle frame, because this thing is so big, and I really love them. The best normal flat frame, though, if you just wanted to skate flat, I know that you like your Creates. I don't know that they're a great flat frame. I know that a lot of people skate them flat, but I think they're a much better anti-rocker frame. You know, I've heard a lot of good things about the Ground Control Mega frames. They are flat 65 or 64, I think. They are a really great flat frame. I think the split is right where it needs to be. I've never skated flat 65. I'm really interested in skating flat 65, but I know that that's a fairly big wheel, meaning that topside tricks are going to be a little more difficult because the frame is going to be a little taller. But it's, trade-offs, right? Obviously I really like skating the Fitty Fitty frames flat. Do I have them here? Oh, here they are. So these are my Fitty Fitty frames that I skate. These are flat 56s. This is a 270 mil split, 270 mil 1:4. I really like these. I think they're a great frame for flat. I was doing some skating yesterday, I think, in the morning before work, and was trying to do some front sides on a ledge, and that was not working out so well. I think front sides to begin with are pretty difficult for me, but I was getting a lot of wheel bite, and you can see the wheel bite on the wheels, the little black. That's where my wheel was sticking when I was jumping on front sides. I love skating flat though. It's so much fun. The best flat frame, the best flat setup, it's got to be the Wish or the USD Aeon. Sorry, the Aeon 60s. These are amazing. They are not UFS, of course, but look at that. It's like the Wish frame, but they're 60 millimeter wheels. These are actually 58s. That's just such an amazing grind area, and it's a great feeling when you're skating. It's a low profile frame. No problems doing topside tricks. That might be one of the issues on the Wish frame. Topside tricks are a little more difficult. Low ride, so it feels really low. These are amazing, but it's a whole boot, so you got to commit. You can't just get a set of frames, unfortunately. So that's what I would recommend. I know it's not a good answer. I like the Fitty Fitty balance frames. I think the Wish frames are probably, if you wanted to skate all 8 down, I think that's the right answer. Unless your foot is too small, I think the Wish frame is great. So definitely worth giving them a try. I know that they might be hard to get down there, but they're awesome. Jeff, stock K2 wheels, they didn't feel anything special. I really had a hard time telling because the wheelbase was so long. When I swap out the frames, I'm going to swap out those wheels as well. So I'll report back after I skate the shorter frame. I didn't feel anything special about them though. I think that they're fine. Profile is interesting, but nothing special. A lot of talk about K2. Again, K2 is just such an amazing brand, like everybody has fond memories of K2, but then they've just kind of vanished. They still make skates. Never seen any in the wild. I don't know anybody who skates them. Never seen any in any edits or any videos, except for reviews of K2s and, Joey up in the mushroom blading. Nobody really skates K2, and it's a shame. I think that they have a really great quality product, but not enough people skate them, so not enough people see them, so not enough people want them. Cultic flats, there you go. You know what? I've heard negative things about the Cultic Groove. Again, I haven't skated them, so I can't speak to it, but they look like they're designed for rails and coping. They're not really designed for ledges. And for me, I skate a lot of ledges. So I don't know how I would feel with those Cultic frames. I want to try them though. And I know the flat 2s have a slightly different groove. So yeah, really curious to see those. I don't see a lot of them in the wild though. So I got to get my hands on a pair and just try them out. All right, one more. So Jeff, Powerside Next Mega Cruisers. I haven't skated them yet. I think they look crazy great. Like, I think that they are for. So I skate these. These are my urban skates. You know, with a UFS frame. I'm still trying to find the right frame setup. I don't know that 125 is the right size wheel for urban. I think 125 is great when you're skating trails and when you're skating distance. But 125 is so tall that if you're doing 360s or if you're doing stair rides or if you're doing anything urban, you know, any gaps or wall rides, I just don't trust it. I feel like I'm like on high heels. So I think that something a little smaller would be better, but the boot itself looks incredible. It's kind of like a throwback to the old, like Rossi's, the old TRS. It's got very old school stylings, which I love. It's Trinity mount. It's a hard shell Trinity mount, which is the first time they've done that. It looks like in the back, there's like that little fin that sticks out, kind of like the old Rossi's fin. It looks like there's an area for a sole plate. So I don't know if they have anything planned, but I think next with some sort of a sole plate so that you could do just little sole grinds or whatever or macchios or whatever. I think that could be a really interesting setup. I haven't skated them yet though, so this is all just based off of what I've seen, videos that I've seen and people that have spoken about them. They do look really nice though, and Powerslide, in my opinion, makes a pretty great product. They fit my feet really well, and I've never had any random breakages or any quality issues. So I want to get a set. I haven't gotten a set yet, but when I do, I don't know that I'll get the 125s. I'll probably get the 110s. It all depends. For me, it depends on the wheelbase though, and usually 110s are a fairly short wheelbase, like 244 or so. I like something a little longer, like 250s, 260s. But definitely worth looking into. They would not replace my trail skates. You know, I love my swells for trail skates. But if you were just wanting to get around town, 125s would be fine. A little big for my blood. I think 110 is the right way to go. All right. I think I'm good. I'm starting to sweat again. It was so nice over the weekend, but now it's hot again. It's in like the mid 80s again, which is just bad for my garage. But thank you all for showing up, and thanks for watching. I don't know what I'm going to do next time. I wanted to talk about the big wheels and three wheel versus four wheel. I'm kind of running out of topics, so I'm more than happy to log on and just answer questions. This is always a fun time. If you have topics that I can speak about, I would love to know about it. Leave them in the comments, message me on Facebook or on the Instagram. If you got something that you were curious about that I can research and learn about, I love doing things like that, like my helmet research or padding research. I love to just learn more, and whenever I learn something, I always like to share it with people. People know a lot of things that I don't. So when I share what I learned, either I get more information, I get corrected, or I get people who agree. Either way, I learn more, and that's why I do these things. So again, thank you all so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope to skate this weekend. Fingers crossed. The weather, it's been thunder and lightning over here today, so I don't know what the weather's going to look like, but I hope you get to skate too.